And Zelensky and Trump are again back on a front page. Right there you can see the two of them. Trump urges Ukraine to accept deal that gives up land, limits army, and drops NATO beat. Well. Is there anything else that we have seen since Donald Trump finally became a president in 2025? Yes, we did. Donald Trump basically repeating himself that if he was a president, the war in Ukraine never ever would have taken place. And you can see the Mr. President right here, who keeps repeating himself that if he was a president, the war in Ukraine never ever would have taken place. This is American president. I can possibly not imagine an ally like this. Ally, yes, but not the ally. And even less what I once used to refer as my homeland, the United States of America. I possibly cannot imagine that this is the country where I immigrated in 1995, that I end up actually in a country like this, because there was a war in Vietnam, there was a war in Korea, there were wars out there that, with support of the United States of America, American allies would gain a foothold and expel the enemy outside of the borders. While not successfully so in Asia, not very successful in Vietnam, more successful in Korea. Now there may be people that will probably resent me that. By watching this stuff here, then you got to ask yourself, really, what exactly is the United States of America? I do not understand any of this stuff. I mean, he keeps repeating himself that if he was a president, a Russian war, the war would have never happened, Russians would never invade it. I don't know. I guess maybe the man is very cute. Maybe he thinks he's so cute that Vladimir Putin would just not invade Ukraine if he was a president. So there is a problem with this, because he became a president in 2017, finally. He inherited a Russian occupation of Ukraine from Barack Obama. And throughout his entire American presidency, Donald Trump have done absolutely nothing to assist Ukraine. I think that he sent about 30 Javelin missile launchers and a few more those rockets, Javelins, anti-tank missiles. And that was it in his entire, 4.5 long presidency, first ever, till Joe Biden replaced him in end of 2020. Sorry, 2021, 2020, doesn't matter. So, not only that he have done absolutely nothing about Russian invasion of Ukraine? I don't know. I mean, I don't understand. That's Ukraine. You understand that's not a Russia. And Ukraine, this is the European Union, European NATO, easternmost European ally. It's not a member, but it's easternmost ally. European easternmost ally, and it's also of a very considerable size, with one of the most important, I believe, crucial geopolitical locations in the world. And so when I consider that man who was a president of the United States of America beginning 2016, 2017, all he had to say was that if he was a president, that's what he does since he became a president again in 2025. That's what he continues to repeat himself. It's a bit hard for me to believe that he would let Russia just take a quarter of Ukraine and not assist its American ally in liberation of Ukraine. That was actually his job in 2017. That was his job in 2017 when he became a president. When he became a president, his job was to arm Ukraine and start liberation of Ukraine. And if not capable to arm Ukraine, then in that case prepare American allies for a future liberation of Ukraine. Just as you would think that normal person would go and do that, this man stayed in the shadow for another 4 or something years, and after Biden was replaced with, again, his presidency, as Trump became president again in 2025, he started to repeat himself, as I stated, that if he was a president, and that now is in the middle of the conflict. Russians did not stop in 2014. They just took Crimea and eastern part of Ukraine. Most fertile, extremely rich with minerals, special minerals, lands in eastern part of Ukraine, Black Sea. Practically Russia almost completely cut off Ukraine from the Black Sea with a new invasion, with renewed invasion in 2022. And guess what? He inherits this from Joe Biden. And all he does is he repeats himself that if he was a president, something like this would have never happened, and he talks about the young people, how they die, and etc., etc., etc. Yeah. Because of the guy that you see right there, over 500,000 Ukrainians died in vain for nothing. About 550,000 Ukrainians was killed in a Russian invasion of Ukraine, and a quarter of Ukraine already was stolen. Yeah, and that's excuse right there. That's an American president. And I don't think that Democrats are any better, because they're even worse. Democrat Party was traditionally aligned to the civil rights movement. And civil rights movement strictly was aligned with the Soviet Union, with the China and with the India. Those are allies of the Russia, as it became clear also throughout this war. So where is the real American president that would do the job as a president, as an American president? All I recall about this guy is making deals with Vladimir Putin behind the curtain. That's how I remember this man when it comes to Ukraine. He transferred a considerable amount of military technology included, and invested his personal assets, financial assets, into Russia. So this isn't a question anymore for Donald Trump, who keeps repeating himself that if he was a president, war in Ukraine never would have happened. This is a question for those that appointed him, for those that allowed for Donald Trump to interact with Vladimir Putin. Basically, entire U.S. administration which interacted with Vladimir Putin behind the curtain. Why this man? How come this man, who now insists Ukraine must foreclose, basically lose more land, must give up on more land, limit army, drops a NATO bid, etc., etc. This is what American president is? I don't know, man, because this is in Ukraine, in easternmost part of the Europe, in this small European Union that you see right there, which is losing extremely valuable ally, extremely valuable land resources, territorial resources, geopolitical position to a much, much, much bigger adversary. Yeah, I did mention China. I did mention India. This is war in Europe. This is a proxy war on Europe through Russia. This is a question that is of a much bigger size, and so I do not understand the American president, the country which once I used to refer to as my homeland. I became a citizen over there, and now finally I see what's actually happening here, what actually is going on here with this American politics, how far we have gotten with all this. People dying every day, towns are getting burnt, Putin is burning, killing foremost civilian population. By the way, America got enormous reputation through Israeli Jewish annihilation of Gaza, remaining Palestinian territory. Now they are doing almost the same thing. They started to do the same thing on the West Bank. Killing foremost children, targeting population with hunger issues. Well, a classic extermination, genocide procedure without even allowing anyone to come close to offer food, that kind of stuff. Before acknowledge him as and treat him as a terrorist for giving people food, saving children's lives. A Red Cross is a terrorist, everybody, everything is a terrorist. Except the Israel. Jews are not terrorists. So that's one hell of a reputation that the United States of America got itself. That's a big ass reputation right there. I mean, that's a land of the free and brave, I tell you that. And this is not about the Democrats. This is not about what previously was aligned to anti-colonial, anti-slavery movement. I don't even blame black people for this, because of the stuff that went on in the U.S. I don't even blame them. Why the hell would I blame Asians and blacks and Native Americans for you being discriminated against? Greatly so. I don't have anything. I did not come to the United States of America during the slavery. And that also means something else. That also means that I'm nobody to go out there and tell people about whether they have the right to exist or not. This is just the way it was. At one point in time, Soviet Union, China, India got involved heavily into anti-colonial movement. And naturally, this minority in the U.S. did align themselves to Soviet Union. to put it plain and simple. It doesn't matter really if for better or good. That doesn't matter. This is the way it was. This is just the way it was. It really doesn't matter. U.S. have gone through a big metamorphosis, a change of the social status that pertain to the certain groups of people in the U.S. And this is just a matter of fact. However, what I would not expect, traditionally, a Republican Party, and also some sound Democrats out there too, they would go along a really, really weird pattern. I mean, the one Barack Obama started in 2014, and this is the man who was extremely against Barack Obama. Everything bothered him about Barack Obama. He actually, at one point in time, he promenaded also, he had his motto, manifesto, that Obama didn't do nothing to help Ukraine and stuff like this. That's interesting. It was Donald Trump who also talked about that stuff. But in 2025, things during the war itself, Trump came out with a completely new manifesto. That war would have never happened if he was a president. Now he is demanding for the Ukraine to drop its territories, its land, basically give up your homeland. He insists no NATO membership, no European Union membership, no shit for you, basically shit. You do understand that after this war, there will be another one that's going to follow. You don't understand that. I mean, you don't need to be genius to understand what Putin did to civilian population throughout Ukraine, that he targeted civilian infrastructures, energy, road infrastructures, basically making the life impossible, investments into Ukraine completely impossible. You do understand that he starved Ukraine as much as possible. The Ukraine would have to need a lot of time to recuperate. So I don't understand what the deal is here. Because now, if you will go and urge Ukraine to give up the land, and etc., then why don't you just urge Ukraine now, tell the Ukraine that you already, the membership, the NATO and European Union is already full, that you don't need new members, and NATO members, that you don't want any of that stuff. And so then you can actually prevent the war. That can actually stop the war. Other than that, I don't understand what kind of excuse this is about this war. If I was a president, this war would have never happened. For fuck's sake, your job as an American president was to enter Ukraine with the tanks, with the fighter jets, and liberate whatever Vladimir Putin have stolen from Ukraine in 2014. Didn't you realize that this is not about 2022? And if so, then why don't you just tell Ukraine to give up on its sovereignty? Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're forcing Ukraine, something that started 11 years ago, you continue to force Ukraine to give up on its sovereignty. What started in 2014 still goes on, and it's almost now 2026. You continue to insist basically to Ukraine that one must just end its sovereignty. That's exactly what this is. That if you were a president, none of that stuff would have happened. That's what you continue to repeat yourself. Why did you take your job on the first place as an American president? If not to defend your allies. Vietnam was not NATO member, nor was South Korea. And nor were others that America got involved in to support them. Now this actually appears to me that is more than working for the Russia. This man is more than insider for the Russia. This man is doing job as big, as equal, or even greater than Vladimir Putin. He is an enemy from within. If you consider NATO and the European Union as whatever you want to consider, I'm not the right person to talk about that stuff, but that should be a different option from Russia altogether. So what exactly is the message here when you continue to repeat yourself to the people that, yeah, if you were a president that this never would have happened, your job was to enter the Ukraine with the tanks, with the fighter jets already in 2014, and with a goal to liberate Ukraine, which is something you have failed to do. I'm going to say maybe strategically you have deliberately postponed it so that you could prepare yourself. But I don't understand, why do you continue to do this stuff to Ukraine? It's now already for 11 years that we see Ukraine just being left out there for dead with, I'm not going to say that Ukraine did not receive substantial amount of assistance. It did. Enormous a lot of aged, old, outdated weaponry when compared to the technology that you supplied Russia with. Yes, it did receive. All your warehouses that contained old, outdated weaponry were emptied thanks to the war of Ukraine. And you wrote yourself a really, really decent numbers so you could jumpstart, and it doesn't go only for United States of America, but also go to the Germany. So you could restart yourself entire military arsenal industry. Pay for it, basically.
Look at the war in Ukraine, and I think it's something we have to have a quick discussion about because the president of Ukraine is in our country and he's making little...
I have not seen anything as pathetic, as disgusting as this thing here. This excuse of the human being that is referred to as the President of the United States of America. We have never had in the history of the United States of America war criminals as presidents. Joe Biden was a war criminal for what he did to Gaza, to the Palestinian people. That's correct.
Nasty aspersions toward your favorite president made. But take a look at the war happening right now in Ukraine. It would have never happened if I were president, to start off with. And there didn't even have to be a settlement. It wouldn't have happened, period. Russia wouldn't have gone in. I spoke to Putin about it a lot.
Yeah, because Putin just loves Donald Trump. Donald Trump is just kind of cute, sexy boy, such an interesting man. He really is. And so the war would have never happened if he would just spoke to Putin that everything would be just nice and fine.
But through a lot of bad statements and stupid statements, he went in, and he's no angel. It's all such a horror. Biden and Harris caused this situation.
He is no angel. Putin is no angel. But the whoever he is, he's going to take a quarter of Ukraine with him. With your permission, with your full support, with your demand from Ukraine to give up on the land. Basically, with your demand to give up on its nationality, basically to give up on its existence. To give it up, basically. Give up the nationality. He's no angel, but he's doing really good when you're the president.
By the stupidity of what they said, by every move they make.
The stupidity.
But they caused the situation, and now they're locked in. They're locked in. A deal could have been made. There wouldn't have been one person that died, and there wouldn't have been one golden tower laying shattered on its side. A deal could have been made if we had a competent president instead of a president that egged it all on. And Biden and Kamala allowed this to happen by feeding Zelensky money and munitions like no country has ever seen before. Every time he came to our country, he'd walk away with $60 billion. It's probably the greatest salesman on earth. There's not enough money to rebuild it if the whole world got together. They're not going to be satisfied until they send American kids over to Ukraine, and that's what they're trying to do. And the moms and dads of America don't want their kids fighting Ukraine and Russia. And we're not going to have our soldiers die across the ocean.
Yeah.
Look at the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, you're not going to have a soldiers die across the ocean. You're not going to have a soldiers die across the ocean. That's a Gaza right there, right? How much money, how many bombs, how many civilians, how many children were killed? 70,000 people were killed. Over 20,000 were children. The children endure hunger that's going to hunt them for generations, basically exterminate the entire population. This right there, that's a Ukraine, right? Did you actually, right there in Portugal, do you actually really feel safe with what you see is taking place right there? I mean, the Portugal and Spain, yeah, but you do depend on Germany. Many of you Portuguese and Spaniards traveled for work to Germany. You feel comfortable with this stuff? Because this border here, actually the border of this country here, Portugal, it starts here with the Ukraine. These are your borders that are on fire. And you do actually feel comfortable about your home placed on fire with American ally giving you a lesson about how it should be, how it shall be, and who screw it up, with enemy literally giggling with open mouth, bombing civilians, killing, taking meter by meter, city after city of Ukraine. Do you actually feel comfortable with this stuff, with this kind of politics like this? Is this like good for you? Because, I mean, if you like it, it can't be that we can't do it. More than that, we can get it done more stuff it can be done. Way more. And don't even think for a second that more that I stated, it's not going to be the case, because it's just a matter of time. This is the second invasion on Ukraine, and the third one is even questionable if it's going to take a place. Might not even have to. With a people like this, I don't see why Ukrainian people would risk their lives and die like a fleas out there. Maybe it is better to tell them that there are too many members already in NATO, there are too many members already in European Union, and for that reason you prefer not to further meddle yourself in a war with Russia. The time is now, because the people are dying every day. So when I see that kind of stuff right there, it looks extremely pathetic. Yes, it is American kids and American fathers and mothers that probably would have to go to Ukraine to do the job. That probably is the case. That probably might become a case. It might be exactly what the whole thing is going to turn to. That's a possibility. That's a strong possibility. But with the way things are turning out, the space that existed for you to coordinate defense of Ukraine efficiently, much more efficiently, with participation of American troops, participation of European troops in Ukraine, that one shrank enormously. 550,000 Ukrainian soldiers were killed, numerous were crippled, wounded. And all we get to see is something that is advertised out there as American president that looks already like I mean, I gotta say that This is even better than a John Wayne movie. It's like, I swear, this is a really, really awesome action movie out there. Basically, you would have some kind of strashilo. I don't know how you say that, but it's like you put out in a garden something to scare the birds away. It looks like I mean, it's just incredible. American President Donald Trump wanted me to say that it was his job to go in Ukraine and liberate Ukraine. And I'm talking about year 2014. And it's actually, I am saying this. This was your job. Now, that you are not fit for the job, that's a totally different story. But the whole thing tells a little broader picture about American, more than about American president. It gives the picture about how American politicians, American top wanted it. I don't know if this is how things are going to develop, if this is going to go into this direction. This stuff was involved in MK Ultra. I have to say to you that stuff that I see right there was involved in MK Ultra, including with Donald Trump insisting that simply if he was a president, none of that stuff would have taken place. He keeps repeating himself all the time that if he was a president, there wouldn't be a war. He is at United Nations
also
doing
been
his
working
speech.
relentlessly, stopping the killing in Ukraine. I thought that would be, of the 7 wars that I stopped, I thought that would be the easiest because of my relationship with President Putin, which had always been a good one. I thought that was going to be the easiest one, but in war...
I think that this is what the problem is. I think, man, you're a problem. Your relationship with Putin is a problem. How do you stop the killer from the killing? I mean, you talk like Ukraine invaded Russia. Not that Russia invaded Ukraine and did so twice. And by the way, as an American president, it was your job to go into Ukraine with the tanks, with the fighter jets, to liberate Ukraine and take one into NATO, into European Union. That was your job. As an ally. That was your job. Your job is not this here. This is not your job.
Or, you never know what's going to happen. There are always lots of surprises, both good and bad. Everyone thought Russia would win this war in 3 days.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way.
But it did, almost. It's very good.
Just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad.
But who was the one who thought that they're going to win in 3 days? I mean, I'm missing over there, Mr. Donald Trump. Maybe you want to reveal some more about it.
No matter what happens from here on out, this was something that should have taken a matter of days, certainly less than a week. And they've been fighting for 3.5 years.
Oh, fuck. Bad Putin.
Anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 young soldiers, mostly soldiers.
Bad man, Putin.
Every single week.
It should last 3 weeks.
5,000 to 7,000 dead young people.
Yeah, dead
and
people.
Some in cities, much smaller numbers, where rockets are shot, where drones are dropped. This war would never have started if I were president. This was a war that should have never happened.
Yeah.
It shows you...
Because you're so cute that a Putin, a killer, will not go out there and kill. Just like your Benjamin Netanyahu, right? But it didn't happen. If you were a president, none of that stuff would have happened, because this is the message to the killers. If you are the president, and of course Netanyahu is not a killer in your eyes. If you were a president, none of that stuff would have happened, right? Because you care about the innocent lives, right? That's, ladies and gentlemen, that's the American president right there. Obama was no good. Sure enough, he was no good. But this year, this is...
What leadership is, what bad leadership can do to a country. Look what happened to the United States. And look where we are right now in just a short period of time. The only question now is how many more lives will be needlessly lost on both sides.
China and India, yes, I know. The war in Ukraine should have never ever started. It should never started. This is something that should never started. Which war in Ukraine is he referring to? 2014 or 2022?
Message for Ukrainians who, after 3 years of fighting, might feel betrayed or disappointed at not having a seat at these initial talks in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think I'm really disappointed in what's happened. I've been watching this for 3 years.
I would be really disappointed if you would give up California to Chinese. I would be really disappointed if you would have to give up Texas to Mexico. I would be really disappointed if you had to give up Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin to Canada. Why did you fight against the British? We go to colonies. I don't understand what you are saying. I mean, this is so fuckety. I mean, does anybody understand this guy? What this guy is baboozling? I don't understand what he's talking about.
It's a war that would have never happened if I was president.
Yeah,
I've been watching these people being killed at levels that you've rarely seen, not even close, since the Second World War.
Yeah.
And I'm very disappointed. I hear that
really
they're upset about not having a seat. Well, they've had a seat for 3 years.
Yeah.
And a long time before that. This could have been settled very easily.
Yeah,
just a half-baked negotiator could have settled this years ago without the loss of much land.
We didn't have any kind of, America didn't have any kind of president like this. There were no American presidents like this yet in the history of the U.S. there were none like this yet. This is the first time we have a war criminal sitting in the White House as a American president. We never had stuff like this. United States of America never had a president like this. United States of America was deserved to liberate, and Caribbean islands, Philippines, many colonies, in fact, throughout the world, United States, excuse me, managed to assist natives to liberate themselves from. We never had a president like this. This is totally different breed of the presidents. He is a president that favors extermination procedures that exceeds those of Adolf Hitler that we have seen have taken place in Gaza. He is a president at the same time who discourages American allies, European allies, what should have been members of the European Union and NATO, from pursuing their right to exist, demands from them, in fact, to give up on more and more land, on the right to freely trade, freely engage in whatever decisions might be there of their national interest. I never had an American president like this. This is something new. This is something bizarre, truly outlandish. Never seen anything like that. We never had a case like this before yet. And Ukraine had proven itself to be an incredible ally for a fraction of the cost, really. For the fraction of the cost, America was, with its European allies, capable to maintain outdated weaponry till one was sold for with blood-earned dollars to Ukraine. so that one could be replaced with much modernized, better modern weaponry. And it seems like it's just going to be left right out on open, on cold, as a giveaway for Vladimir Putin. Never had anything like this yet. Strange stuff. Even more, as I said, I'm amazed because he's not a Democrat, he is a Republican politician. This is a Republican politician. Biden was a Democrat politician and Obama was a Democrat politician. Bill Clinton did a hell of a good job. He could have been better than that, but at least he did something. This, I don't even understand. What the hell is this? But he is an American president and he is inside the White House. It would not take me 5 minutes to get this man arrested and escorted out of the White House, handcuffed. If you ever seen a treasoner, what a treasoner look like, then that's exactly what that, exactly right there, that's exactly what that is. No, I do not wish Americans to die inside of the Ukraine. That's why, especially, the time is precious with still existing Ukrainian military, with still having the ability to be used in the front lines under American and European guidance, command, cover. And we're losing that stuff. Everything is going to the hell. And in fact, entire Ukraine is going to the hell. Within almost, is going to the 4th year now. Nothing really was done in Ukraine. Nothing was really reclaimed. And Vladimir Putin just continued to burn more and more and more, destroy more and more and more. That's all I gotta say. Ukraine is on fire. They're killing people every day, target civilians like there is no tomorrow. Dearly have Ukraine paid for its non-European Union and non-NATO membership, which Ukraine repeatedly applied for. Dearly have Ukraine paid for its freedom. The country where in 1990 had 52 million people, now barely is with a 38 million people. With giving up its nuclear arsenal is taken in offer from United States of America, American politicians, as a guarantor of freedom, of truce, peace, as well as other NATO member states, British, German, French and others, that became a guarantor of Ukrainian peace for Ukrainians after those would give away nuclear arsenal. Dearly have Ukraine paid for these mistakes. No, I don't have anything else to say about this stuff. I just, this stuff, when you look at it right there, he's hanging out there. Just that you know, that's a president of the United States of America, and that's a Republican. He's a Republican. This is from Republican Party is what this is. So, he is defending, as the biggest NATO member state, as the biggest Western ally, in American allies in exactly the way you see it. He keeps repeating that if he was a president, the war would have never taken place, but he doesn't say anything about doing his job. He doesn't say anything about what his job is, that his job was to go and liberate Ukraine, enter Ukraine. Already in 2014 was job from Barack Obama. They don't know anything about any of that stuff. He doesn't want to know anything about that stuff. He talks about the war which Putin, killer, started in 2022, and appears he is more than willing to appease a Russian killer more and more and more. He calls him a bad boy, but right there he's begging for Ukraine to give more freebies, more give-outs. No, I don't think the Democrats like what they see in Ukraine. Based on my experience, interaction with the people did not like Putin. They did not like the Russian ways when they were coming here to Slovenia, the stuff that they witnessed to. It appeared to me they did not like. But then on the other hand, who the fuck knows what's going on? The actions talk much louder than words. And we have seen very, very little when it comes to actions. Almost none. Ukrainians did the toughest, the craziest fucking part by defending Ukraine with outdated weaponry, with aged weaponry. They were dying like fleas, defending themselves, defending Ukraine. And, well, we're going to stop now, and the future is out there for us to see. But this is just to update, to give a little bit taste about what we have witnessed during the past. It's going to the 4th year now. I'm not going to go and Google. If you want to do that, you go and you visit my blog, and you get the news over there. You get to see. By the way, if you Google Außer Times, it's going to be hard for one to find, because the Google makes sure that they will remove every trace about my blog. All those numerous pictures, stuff that was on the internet from Außer Times, they make sure that they would remove. Illuminatis did not like any of that stuff. That also goes to tell that they don't know nothing about this case. Right? Do me a favor. I mean, this guy was in Apprentice and everything. Do me a favor and ask him next time when he's going to say that if he was a president, this war would have never taken place. Do me a favor and ask him, why is he not doing the job? Why is he not doing the job? Ask him a question. Why is he not doing the job as an American president? Why is he neglecting the job? I mean, if you would have an employee like this is a lousy, lousy, lousy employee. As an American taxpayer, would you want to go and starve your allies on a warfield with ammunition, with a basic ammunition, which was the stuff that went on throughout the war in Ukraine? That's exactly how they ran this Operation Liberation of Ukraine. This was supposed to be liberation of Ukraine. This was supposed to be liberation. And it turned out into a bloody massacre with Putin destroying, burning his way through Ukraine. It might not be in 3 weeks, but Vladimir Putin did extremely well in these 3 years. And so many bombs that he threw on Ukraine, the damage that he created. It could have been any other country in European Union. It could be Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland. It could be Germany. I don't know if this is how you want to appease a killer, a murderer. If this is the way to go about. Donald Trump is an American president that is coming from a very famous family of military dodgers. I don't actually know. I cannot recall any of Donald Trump kids serving in the military. Not Eric Jr., but none of these people serve in the military service. And the message these people send, not only across America, but to their Western allies, is basically, you're pretty much on your own. F you. if we were presidents, if we were kings, none of the war in Ukraine would have happened. None of the war in Ukraine would have taken place. I cannot see a military man having a boss like this. Because for a military man in whichever army that you serve, this is one of the things about military service, you ought to feel good about yourself. You ought to feel invincible about yourself. That's why you get a training, the best military equipment as possible, and foremost, a cover-up from behind. Good, coordinated backup that you can always count on. That's what military service is all about. Feeling good about yourself, doing the right thing, fighting the right war, being on the right side of the story, and without expressing any kind of fear. That's how you know the military men do not express any kind of fear, whether they're in a civil clothing or on a war field. They are just a military man. They are in this world to feel good about themselves. And having a military dodger, military service dodger, like Donald Trump, I doubt that this makes them feel good about themselves. It might help avoid a military deployment to a high-risk area. There is no doubt about that. But do you want to stop that stuff too? Then, as well as mine, dissolve entire NATO and dissolve the militaries that countries have. It's going to be even easier for Vladimir Putin. I don't understand. I don't fucking understand how this guy became American president. But I feel it's important to video record this stuff. Because it's happening. This stuff is actually happening. This is American president. America never had a president like this. He doesn't give a three shit about lives of Americans. He called American servicemen cowards. People who served in Vietnam. I don't know with what right. He sells American brand to betray whatever is American. To awake weakness in whatever is American. And this is just not American. This is extremely, extremely un-American. Yes, when you're deployed, you can lose your life, you can get killed. When you go on a mission out there, you can easily get killed, that's right. Those are the risks when you sign up for a military service, when you sign up to serve as a serviceman in the U.S. military, in the army, and every other army in the world. You have a greater chances to survive in American military army than you have in other armies around the world. This is disgrace, not a president. Total disgrace. Story of Donald Trump is a classic something that basically it's what happens when you have too much time in hand. When you don't go through nothing in life, basically when everything comes the easy way. That's like a classic story when somebody has just too much time at hand and just doesn't know what the fuck to do with the time. And so he figured out there is an industry out there out of efficient time, precious time for people, literally make shit out of it. That's a classic story of Donald Trump. That's exactly what Trump family is all about. That's a classic. It's a classic story of somebody who have too much time in hand and is having the ability to watch regular people, normal people, and is contemplating on how to make hell out of the lives of the people. That is Donald Trump's story. No normal person would be bugging his mind with the issues like Donald Trump did and what Donald Trump does. No normal person. Normal person, none of the stuff that he discussed, none of the stuff he provocates with, none of the stuff that the normal people would come across their minds. The normal people, what the normal people does is normal human being defends whatever is from him or her. Whether that be family or whether that be pertaining to his work, organization, country, allies, etc., 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 friends, etc., etc. That's a normal person. But a person with a lot of money, with a golden spoon, that is fed, that is brought up, a military dodger, that's a totally different story. That's a different story. That's a person who have a lot of time and he have the ability, not the ability, he have no fucking ability. He's got a right, he's got a privilege, that's what the word privileged is, to see the life from the other perspective. In other words, he has the right, he has the entitlement to screw the society up for one to fit his own agenda. That's what Donald Trump is. Don't talk to me about American sons, American daughters, fathers and moms, etc., etc., etc. Don't talk to me about how making a NATO weak, destroying NATO, destroying the Constitution of the United States, destroying everything American, how that's good for America. Don't fucking talk to me about that stuff. That's the stuff you need to discuss with Vladimir Putin, but not, I'm not going to say with me, but with any normal person. Journalists definitely out there should ask Donald Trump what exactly he means by this, that war would not happen if he was in the office. When war indeed happened in 2014 and he had done nothing to liberate whatever Vladimir Putin have stolen from Ukraine in beginning 2014. It's your job to ask him, why is he not doing the job as an American president? Donald Trump is a classic cross-boundary man. There's a man who, you can tell, was heavily involved in genocide against me. That's a world where you're basically allowed to cross any boundaries, and there is no law, there is no constitution, there's no treaties. Corruption protects you everywhere. He have not risked in his life a shit. Nothing. He glided through the life with a silver spoon and had the opportunity to exploit what otherwise is prohibited for the normal human beings. But in the real world, it does not work like this. In the real world, people have to go out and they have to make their living. In the real world, people have to go out and they have to defend their borders. There are boundaries that you're not supposed to cross. And that's what you call a government. The government is known for those boundaries, to have those boundaries. Why? I don't understand what this guy is doing inside of the government. In the first place, he's not aware of, obviously he's not aware of, he's obviously ridiculing law and order, everything whatever pertains to regular human beings. He doesn't have no respect for ordinary. He is making his own visions on how it could be, it shall be, etc., etc., and profits from within. This is a parasite who became extremely wealthy through corruption, through the deals he made when assembling himself together with Putin, with other politicians in the background. Something that ordinary people don't have the ability to come anywhere even near, close to. Extremely privileged individual. So it's not a wonder he does not understand the basics of what is taking place in Ukraine and even what is taking place in Gaza. He had no fucking clue about what he is doing, what the United States of America is for, what the Constitution is, and etc. Or maybe he does. Like I said, that's what he was doing. He was studying how to undermine, how to twist, how to change, how to make things impossible. Definitely for me in my case. And that's American president. That's a president of the United States of America. I would say a lot of words that he is, but you appointed him. You appointed him as a president of the United States of America. To Donald Trump, America is something big, something safe, big, safe, extremely lucrative, ability to corrupt, ability to manipulate. That's exactly what the Donald Trump America is. There is not a trace, not a single trace of anything American in this individual. To Donald Trump, United States of America is the ability to exploit, to steal more, to rob people more. He does not give a shit about Americans. I have seen exactly what he have done during his presidency with American people. We watched his Americanism throughout his American presidency, how that stuff went on. And it was not glorious, my God. That stuff was, in many cases, hilarious. He would not even go and pay attention to people when they were in need due to floods, due to hurricanes, due to natural disasters. He does not give a shit, three shit about United States of America. This is a man who at the same time threatened would fire bullets in the legs of the Mexicans for crossing the border, is a man at the same time who was hiring illegals to do the work at his place for less than minimum wage. Is a man who was constantly hiring foreign people to undermine American wages, American laws pertaining to the employment, etc., etc., etc. America to Donald Trump is only one thing. That's a good, comfortable cushion, a good pillow. That's what that is. There is nothing American about this individual. Nothing other than he was born in America. He's a real disgrace. And by the way, we did discuss this issue during MK Ultra. Donald Trump did spoke about how he just doesn't want to see American kids die. That he just doesn't want to, have young men, women, servicemen, and fathers and sons and mothers and daughters stand on the front lines and lose lives. If this was not a treason, Donald Trump needs to be arrested. I would be laughing right now about this shit. Because I recall Donald Trump giving a compassion to the mothers of the servicemen. He was meeting relatives of fallen military personnel that lost lives. And in front of me, dared to insert the future issue of Ukraine, with lady gesturing me if she was really from, if it was not something else that's about Donald Trump. How he had right, how they should have listened to him, and the son, a daughter, whatever, it would still be alive, etc., etc. Listen, Donald Trump made a comedy out of real tragedy. And I'm not even talking about Ukraine right now. I don't think that as an American you're ready to have a president that will always be fucking right and is going to build his righteousness on your tragedy. I don't think anybody is ready for this type of president of the United States of America. Military requires you to place your life at stake, depart, if necessary, to location where you might not return alive from. I would not refer to that as a risk. I would refer to that as a professionalism. I think American professionalism, when it comes to military, overall professionalism is on an extremely high level. But the attitude that Donald Trump is displaying is the attitude that is encouraging doubt in American people. He is encouraging where there absolutely should not be any doubt, where people should be making resolute about their decisions. He's opening the questions where there shouldn't be no questions, is what I'm trying to say. And he's weakening country through the seams, through every seam that holds America together, very core of America. He did have a problem with the NATO. He doubted NATO. He had a problem with the NATO. He questioned NATO. He questioned things that, I'm not going to say that no normal person would question, but this individual is just off the hook. He questions issues that are of much greater national security than issues that he is criticizing in the people. When people question them, whether that be abortion or whatever that be, that might be pertaining to the civil rights movement or whatever that might be, he's having a lot of problems with all kinds of issues that, in fact, people should be deciding about. I don't think that America is ready for continuation of the politics like this. American presidents are always the presidents that took initiative in sorting things out when it came to their allies. They always had a sense of, not going to say ethics, but not even a patriotism, but, to stand by for what they believe strengthens their country. I cannot see any of this stuff in Donald Trump. With the way things Donald Trump is allowed, Donald Trump can become king just by stepping down, and once the troops are deployed, and there'll be certainly casualties, he might be appearing in public and blowing on souls, on minds of the people who lost their kids to war. And I think that, honestly, when you doubt your country like this, I think that you should be handcuffed. I think that you should be taken away, imprisoned, and trialed. That's a treason. When you do this stuff as an American president, it's a treason. Really is a treason. Donald Trump went into the core of everything that pertains to America in a way no other American president ever dared to. And he did not do this to benefit the United States of America, but his own financial agenda. Is disgusting. Is the word that he likes to use, is disgusting. Truly, truly impossible to even describe this creature. already based on the way Donald Trump conduct himself about doubting things, doubting. This man does not deserve to be commander of armed forces, U.S. armed forces. This man does not fucking deserve to be inside of the White House. This is a matter for adult, grown-up, mature men to make decision about. Not for the kids, not for the children, not for the immature. These are serious matters. Yes, people are going to die. And people already die. A lot of people already died. And the longer the war is going to go, it's exactly what I told you the case is going to be. The more expensive the war will become. The longer it goes, the more expensive it is. The longer it goes, the more people will die. For you to make decisions on behalf of American armed forces, you should understand at least the meaning of life. It's not exactly a cushion Donald Trump was sleeping on his entire life. Paddling through other people's misfortunes. What others have paid, Donald Trump paddled through and actually pushed under the water whatever stood up out there for what he also should stood up. It's a wrong person to be in charge of American armed forces. Very, very, very wrong person. Person that is doubting about every core of American society. Of what? I was not born in the US, but I'm just using a common sense. What he's doing is something I have described a little earlier. That's a life of the privileged, a life from a different perspective of what normal people can afford themselves to even think about. It's craziness. Wrong person for the wrong job. There will be always people that will criticize decisions, that will make military decisions, all kinds of decisions that will make. And when it comes to Donald Trump, I cannot even imagine what kind of person this is. Because this is not even a person that would be doubting that, this is a person that doubts. Not that he would be doubting whether these were the right decisions, and but he brings up the stuff that is just goes under the skin. That's crazy. If world would function like this, then the government shutdown was, what can I say? But this man, you can tell by this government shutdown that this is the school of the shutdowns. This man is trying to shut down entire American society, an entire American state mind, boggle people with nonsense, cause as much havoc and damage as one possibly can cause. He is not immature. He is mature enough, but the stuff that he is doing, he has seen more than what most of the people could possibly even imagine. He was right there. He was making all the deals with all the people that count when it comes to deals such as wars. But he was making the choices, I'm not going to say out of the box, but he was making choices completely same like he is brands that he was advertising, watches and shoes and stuff that he was advertising to the people, how people should buy his stuff because it's patriotic, whatever the patriotism is. War this is like something that exists, something that is out there, it's real, it's a danger humanity have to cope with, that can shatter lives at just about any time. And that's why the real presidents are necessary. The people who make the right decisions at the right time, not the people who doubt. I'm not going to say the courage of their own people. See, I don't believe in a courage. I don't believe in any kind of courage. I just believe that it's life and it just needs to be done whatever needs to be done. That's what I believe in. I don't believe in any kind of courage. It's just the stuff that needs to be done. It's all there is to it. And the people itself deserve a leader that they're not going to be looking up to after losing their kids. Parents, maybe. Whether it was the right decision to do or not. This is not the president that you need. Whether he is compassionate with you or not. I don't believe in this. I don't believe in a compassion. I simply believe that it's the different patterns we have in lives. We go out there, we do the stuff, and basically whatever comes out, comes out. We are out here to learn to live with it, to cope with it. This is what I believe in. And as such, I would not want to have a president that would, come out and say, for fuck's sake, and they died for nothing. Doubt, basically. More than about life choices people have made. Circumstances that made them make choices. Fuck this. This is not the president of the United States of America that I imagine would be a president. What people need, what people want is a person that makes the right decisions at the right time so that those decisions open the opportunities for the people. So the country benefits from within. On a long term, making itself and its allies stronger, more competitive, and more worth to stand for. Not an individual who is doubting in a core of American society and undermining American Constitution and etc. etc. That's a crap. That is a total crap. And that crap is sitting inside of the White House. It's a president of the United States of America now. It's Donald Trump. The Yahoo changes these pages rapidly. I don't believe in the stuff that you see right there. What I'm trying to say is I don't want to see any of American soldiers like this. This is definitely not what I want to see. But you know something? People have to do sometimes stuff like this, and they did. They did the stuff like this in the World War I and the World War II. And so for the president, like the one inside of the White House, ladies and gentlemen, there is no place and there is no time in American history. I don't know what that piece of shit is doing inside of the house, inside of the White House. I don't want to see you ever like this. That's why it makes fast decisions, right decisions, decisive decisions priority when it comes to American presidency. Decisions that one is going to stand by for the rest of his life. Pay respect to those decisions that he made. Do you see Donald Trump doing this stuff? I don't think so. I think he is extremely wrong individual. Totally wrong individual. And he is a draft dodger, by the way. But the stuff that you see right there, I would definitely not want anything like this to ever see. That's what the military is supposed to be all about, to make sure that something like this is not taking place. To cover the backs of the people, wherever they go. And for people to feel that their backs are covered. But if it takes to do it like this, then sometimes you just have to go down and get dirty and bloody to get the stuff done, because it's all part of the life. Sometimes this is just the way it is. But it's one thing it's not, to have a president like the one in the White House that is doubting every core of whatever is American. That's one thing. Leaving people in doubt is about the worst thing that you can do to American people. The worst thing that you can do to whatever people. Whatever it is that you are with whoever you are. That is the worst president. America have not had a president like this yet. The biggest deal you can do for American people, or whatever country you are from, as a president, is for American people, for people to watch you do the right thing. This is the biggest thing, the most important thing that you can do. There's nothing more you can do for the people than people feeling that what they do through your eyes, the way they see things, is exactly what needs to be done. It is just as simple. This exactly is the job of any president in the world. And is that, I'm not going to say lead by example, but is, I don't even believe in, when it comes to presidency, you know, I don't even believe in lead by example so much. But is it, when it comes to Donald Trump, that you see a man who is doing the right thing and is taking action to change what, in a case of Ukraine, we witnessed since 2014, or in a case of Gaza, what we have witnessed? I don't think so. America is a democracy. America is not an apartheid. Israel is an apartheid. What should have been a democracy, the equality for all too often proves itself is a genocidal apartheid state, which is inflicting harm also across the border to neighboring countries in question that are still out there, that still exist, and where Israel is trying to expand itself. It's a bad example. It's an example of corruption, criminality, colonialism, the worst possible example, while at the same time doubts about American resolute, about American decisiveness to do the right things, to lead the world. With Donald Trump, America is rapidly losing its ground. It's rapidly losing its righteousness. It's rapidly losing reputation, image. That's a very, very bad president. That's a very, very bad president. But I definitely don't want to see you like this, like the man that is dragging his fellow man over there, or whomever. I definitely want to see people going like this down. But then on the other hand, if that's what needs to be done to get it done, then that's what that is. That's just the way it is. Those are the rules of the war. This is the way it is. Sometimes you have to get down and dirty. That's just the way it is. With society functioning best when people know where their job is based on their own convictions, basically, when they know what is right and what is wrong. It's not always lead by example that's what it is, but it's doing the right thing at the right time, to make people believe, basically, that is the stuff that needs to be done. I don't like people posing as a, as a miracle people, I just don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like the stuff that when people try to take advantage of misfortunes of other people. It's an opportunism I don't like. By lead by example, it's great, but make people believe in themselves, that's even much greater, so that people themselves demand for the stuff to be done.